Hello, and welcome to Feminine Emergence. I'm your host, Stephanie Briggs, and I'm so honored today to be speaking with the lovely Lyla June. Welcome, Lyla. I'm so glad you could be here today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate being here and appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yeah. So to get us started, I just want to introduce you to anybody who doesn't already know about you. And Lyla June is a poet, musician, human ecologist, public speaker, and community organizer of Diné, Cheyenne, and European lineages. Her dynamic, multi-genre performance and speech style has invigorated and inspired audiences across the globe towards personal, collective, and ecological healing. Her messages focus on Indigenous rights, supporting youth, intercultural healing, historical trauma, and traditional land stewardship practices. She blends her undergraduate studies in human ecology at Stanford University, her graduate work in Native American pedagogy at University of New Mexico, and the Indigenous worldview she grew up with to inform her perspectives and solutions. Her internationally acclaimed performances and speeches are conveyed through the medium of prayer, hip-hop, poetry, acoustic music, and speech. And her personal goal is to grow closer to Creator by learning how to love deeper. I just want to say that's something I also want to learn. So hopefully I can learn something from you tonight. And Lyla, you're going to be speaking to us today about shedding the labels the world put on us and those that we put on ourselves, which I think that probably everybody watching and listening can relate to that in some way. So I know you're going to share something that can really touch all of us. So to get us started, I wonder if you could just tell us, why did you choose this topic to speak about today?
I think it's my favorite topic because it's a topic that I have lived personally, and I think it's very universal. I think it's something that no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, it's something that affects us, right? So when I was younger, I went through a divorce at age 4. I started doing drugs when I was 11. I started drinking alcohol when I was 12. Um, and this is because growing up, there was a lot of drugs and alcohol around me. So and also there was a drug dealing around me when I was growing up. So there was a lot of illegal activities going around me all the time. And I think that's what led to me getting in trouble with police a lot and ultimately being labeled as a criminal by the juvenile justice system. And even through all that, I managed to get to Stanford University, don't ask me how, and did really well there. I graduated with honors, but while I was at Stanford, I actually got deeper into drug addiction, and I even ended up selling drugs just like people were around me when I was growing up. So I kind of normalized that behavior and then ended up actually perpetuating it when I was older. So I didn't get sober until my junior year of college, and what sparked that was actually breaking my hip and my spine in an earthquake in Chile in 2010, and I almost died. And it took that much of a jolt to kind of wake me up and say, "Hey, is this how you want to live your life?" And so I started praying more. And I started asking Creator to get me sober for the first time in my whole life. I was 20 years old. Oh, no, I was 21, actually. No, 20. And I actually got a lot of healing from some folks. I think my prayer was heard, and Creator sent me some messengers. And they said, Lyla, just because you've been through all these things, and oh, by the way, I was drinking from age 12 to age 20, so oftentimes I was drunk for most of my teenage years. So what happens then is oftentimes you get abused, right? Because you're a girl, you're at the party, you're young, you're naive, you're easy to take advantage of, and I got taken advantage of a lot, and it was really painful. However, instead of blaming the people who hurt me, and it's a strong word, but in reality raped me, I blamed it on myself. And I think a lot of women do this, believe it or not. And the rape I experienced wasn't like rape you see in the movies where there's like a gun and, someone's holding you down. It's more like, um, oh, guilting me, like saying something like, oh, you should do this for me because it would make me happy. Like weird psychological things people would do. Or I was just too drunk to know up or down and just kind of caved into what people wanted to do. So that's the kind of experiences I went through, and I learned later on that rape is actually designed to make you as a woman hate yourself, because 99 or maybe 90% of the time we blame ourselves. We say, oh, it was my fault if I wouldn't have drank that night, or if I wouldn't have done this or that, therefore it's my fault. And then you're late. That's what I mean by labeling ourselves. Oftentimes we label ourselves as tainted or soiled. And if a woman comes to believe that she cooperated in the experience, like she had some kind of choice in the matter when we don't, or then she can label herself as a like a tainted woman. So around that time when I was getting RAPED'd a lot, um, I basically shut down, and I believed that I was worthless. I believed I was nothing. I believed that God had abandoned me, because who could love such a woman who would dishonor her own womb? Who could love a woman who dishonored her own body like that? And I learned that for men, the way that they start to hate themselves is if they see women getting hurt in their family. So say you have a toddler boy and his mom gets beat up by his dad. He will often blame himself the same way a woman blames herself for rape. I'll say, oh, it's my fault. If I would have done this, or if I could have done this, or da 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 da, I quote unquote failed to protect my mother or my sister or my girlfriend or my whatever it is. That is how you spiritually assault a male. But for females, not to be gender binary, but for some women, when you strike a woman with rape, it has that effect, and she will then stop believing in herself, believing in herself. So what happened was, when these people came to help me, they said, Lyla, here's a couple things you need to know. Number one, rule number one, it was not your fault. What happened to you was not your fault. And that was huge. That was big news for me, that actually people had knowingly predated on me. Like I was so oblivious, I didn't realize that actually they were doing that. Rule number two, you are your spirit, not your body. So no matter what people do to your body, they didn't touch you. They didn't even touch you. So you're not changed by it. It doesn't affect you. You're not less of a woman. You're not less of a person. You're God's child. You're God's daughter. Go out there and keep fighting. Rule number three, you will heal completely when you forgive. Because when you forgive that man or woman who raped you, you are releasing the last wound that they gave you, which was the wound of bitterness and anger. And when you pray for them and you want the best for them, then they have literally nothing on you anymore. So those were there's probably more steps to it, but those three for sure were the core teachings that actually, the fourth one is, if you wanna serve Creator, which I did, you need to be sober, because Creator gave you perfect brain chemistry, and to induce it with all these chemicals that are not natural. People say weed is natural, but it's been cultivated so heavily by man that I don't think it is natural anymore. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic. I shouldn't have said that. But what I'm trying to say is, our brain chemistry is so perfect the way Creator made it, that you are going to be able to fight for him or her, or however you call it, the best if you're sober and you honor the chemistry, because that's where you're going to be at your optimal state. Drugs aren't bad necessarily, but they're never going to be as good as what Creator gave you. So that gave me the power to get sober, and I've been sober for almost 6 years. I haven't touched a single anything. I don't even drink coffee. So now I'm a big warrior for creator or whatever. But now I'm really connected to myself. But it took a process of shedding labels, and I genuinely think that that is every human's primary task, is to see themselves the way creator sees them. Because I saw myself as a tainted, soiled, criminal, horrible woman, and fast forward 6 years, people think I'm like some kind of, you know, uh saint or something. And I do pray and I do work for the others all day long, so I do serve as hard as I can every day. um but what I'm trying to say is that it's incumbent upon all of us to look back and reclaim our queen, or reclaim our king. You know, you are a queen, you are a king, not in a tyrannical hierarchical sense, but in a sense that you are creator's child. You are precious. And if you don't see that in yourself, then you don't understand yourself. I will say that right now. If you don't see yourself as a queen or as a king, so to speak, you don't understand yourself, because you are precious, you are beautiful. And a lot of your behavior that might make you think that you're not that good of a person is usually behavior that was symptomatic of ways that you were abused. So that's not your fault. The abuse wasn't your fault, and the behavior you did as a result of that abuse is also not your fault. If you're open to learning and if you're open to healing, you can actually alter things so that you are a good force for society. Because now I'm not selling drugs. What they sell, I don't sell dope, I sell hope. I'm a positive force now. So that's a very long-winded way of saying that's why I chose for you to ask this top or to talk about this topic today, because I believe it's every one of ours task to fully love ourselves completely and come back into who we truly are.
Wow. Thank you. I can really feel your passion, and I feel I'm totally on board with you. And I relate to a lot of what you shared. And I think we all have all this trauma, right? That, has caused us to behave in ways that then we have shame about that. And yeah, that's not serving. So I'm really glad that you're speaking about this. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more about, you kind of shared where you've come from, and now how has your identity shifted over the years?
Well, my identity itself has never changed. If you're talking about my true identity, I am a soul that was created to learn how to love. That's what my elders tell me. That's what this whole thing is, this whole world. We are here to learn how to love. Because when we don't love, we see what it's like when you don't love. It's not fun. So this world, you learn very quickly here. So that's my identity. I came here to learn how to love. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to do anyways. But if you're talking about my self-image, how has that changed? I currently see myself, I think, more closely to what I really am, which is a good person. And I see myself as a gift to the earth. We are all gifts to the earth. We all were designed to give a gift, whether it's poetry or just being a good father or just taking care of our grandma or whatever it is. We were all born to give a gift, and every single one of us has one. No one's like giftless. And so now I see myself more as that. I'm a gift, and I'm not perfect. I never will be. But I understand now that the ancestors are not asking me to be perfect. They're just asking me to try. So that's how I see myself. I see myself as a humble, imperfect, pitiful queen. I don't know if that makes sense, but having that balance of queendom, and also knowing that I'm very prone to mistakes, and loving myself through that. And so that's kind of how it shifted over the years.
Yeah, I thank you. And I love how you're really showing us how you can love yourself and still be real about your humanity. I think that's something that we all need. And could you tell us a bit, like, why do you think it's so hard to remember who we really are? here when we're here on Earth?
Well, my people explain it through the lens of coyote. They say that long time ago, all of the holy people were placing the stars in the sky, and the stars are the constellations, very specifically placed in very specific order. And Coyote said, "Oh, I want to place some stars. I want to place some stars." And the holy people said, "No way. We know what you're gonna do. You're just gonna. I don't know what you're gonna do, but it's usually not good. So no." And he begged them 4 times. On the fourth time, they caved. So he took the basket of stars and he just placed 1 or 2, just pretending to play along, and then he just threw them all in the sky. And that's what the Milky Way is. And they say the reason that humanity is lost today is because Coyote threw all those stars up, and we don't know how to act. We don't know which way to walk. We don't know which way to go. And so that's a metaphor story, but it's actually real. There is a coyote spirit in the world, and it does not play nice. It plays dirty, and it does not care about you and doesn't care if you suffer. In fact, it feeds off of suffering. So there's a battle occurring on planet Earth right now, in case you didn't notice, which is between what's close to creator and what's far from creator. And creator doesn't want all this suffering, but it's upon us to choose what creator stands for. And creator gives us freedom. We're not slaves. We walk around wherever we want. And he gave us freedom to do what we want. And some of us use that freedom to love, and some of us use that freedom to hate. And one of these spirits, a very big spirit, and a very intelligent and clever spirit, is Coyote. And he goes around and he actually, if I'm going to be frank, he has had a campaign against your soul since the day you're born, and he wants you to, he wants you to fail. He wants you to live in suffering because he feeds off that suffering, and it feeds the hierarchy that he represents. He, she, it, whatever. So that's why it's so hard, because people in Western culture, we're not given any spiritual training. We don't have hardly any. We learn chemistry, we learn biology. That's about it. We don't know how to purify your body when you're having different souls move through you. That's why sometimes when you feel super sad and you can hardly handle yourself, it's because you're not just feeling your own sadness, you're feeling the sadness of so many souls that are resonating with you. And that's why we have sweat lodges. That's why we have baptisms. That's why we have all these ceremonies, which are designed to clear the human body, because the human body isn't just physical. It has a material aspect to it. And so it's so hard to remember who we are, because there's a battle against us waging every day. And that entity, we call it Coyote. The Lakota people call it spider. Christians call it Satan, but that's not accurate, because Satan isn't, or Coyote isn't powerful. That's why we gave it Coyote, because it's small, it's skinny, and it likes to hide. It's clever, but it has no power. It has no power over us. It just tricks us. So that's why it's so hard to remember who we are. And I know that's why it was so hard to remember who I was, because if you think about me, I was born as a Dene woman. I am a descendant of the 2% of Native people who survived the Holocaust. I have a lot of potential to bring a lot of healing. I'm a good songwriter. I'm a good speaker. So if I found out who I was, a lot of Coyotes, whatever game is gonna be healed and illuminated. So Coyote does not want Lyla to know who she is. So think of it this way. This is what my elders told me. If Creator sent one of his best warriors to the earth, what would Coyote try to do to that warrior? And so if you have really horrific things happen to you in life, it's not because you're bad. It's actually because you pose a threat to this order of hierarchy and issues going on in the world today. So that's why it's so hard to know who we are, because they're constantly trying to drag us down. Sometimes they're spiritual entities who are people. They don't have bodies like you and me, but they're still people. Or sometimes they're humans. A lot of humans want to drag you down. They don't like that you're succeeding. They succumb to their own feelings of jealousy. They succumb to their own feelings of greed. They succumb to their own feelings of lust or whatever, and they will hurt you. Um, that's not your fault. But these entities are always working to dismantle our self-image. That is the name of the game, which is why rape is so prevalent and domestic violence is so prevalent, because that's how you really get under someone's skin, and that's how you trick them into thinking they're worthless. So let's see what else. I think it's also really hard to remember who we are, because the world reflects to us capitalism, um, unhealthy ecosystems, and the majority of us live in these artificial environments, which are reflections of capitalism, right? This car I'm sitting in is a reflection of capitalism. It was made by capitalism. So if I spend my life in a car, an office, and a grocery store, all of which are reflections and spawn of capitalism, then that's our mirror. We're looking, but if you walk into the forest, what do you see? You see unimaginable beauty. You see a pine cone with so much gorgeous symmetry in it that even this one little pine cone is more complex than the whole grocery store. You see animals who give you hope. You see animals who fill you with biophilia. You see the sky. You see the rocks. You get a feeling. And our ancestors used to live close to the earth, and that was their mirror. The earth was telling them, you are beautiful, you are sacred, you are part of this creation. That's a much different mirror than the Jerry Springer show. You know, if you're watching Jerry Springer, that's what's reflecting to you. That's telling you who you are. So that's another thing that's hard. And all of this is Coyote's creation. It didn't used to be like this. This whole world used to be Honjon. This whole world used to be real nice, and it will be again with all of our help.
I'm feeling my grief as you speak about this beautiful world that is still here in some places, and how I know I want more of that for myself, and I want more of that for all of us. And so what happens when we do somehow manage to find out who we really are?
Let's see, what happens when we manage to find out who we are?
Like, what's possible?
Yeah. I feel like when we know what we are, we become more fluent instruments of creator. And if the idea of creator or God rubs you the wrong way, what I mean by that is we become instruments of beauty, instruments of love. We become a paintbrush. We become a hammer. We become a hollow bone, as my elders would say. When you're a hollow bone, things move through you. You don't move, but you are moved. And when you are moved by this, once you know who you are, and you love every molecule in your body, and you love every iteration of yourself that you have been throughout your life, and you forgive yourself for your mistakes, and you just love yourself unconditionally, you become a force that is able to be used by, I'll say, creator. And when you are used by creator, you can actually create what it envisioned for this world, which is beauty and hope and joy and health and community and interdependence and kinship. And so once you know, because that's another thing I think I am. Not only am I a gift, not only are you a gift, but I'm a hollow bone. I'm a it sounds kind of new agey, but I'm a channel. It's not about me. It's about, I wrote a song with my friend Desiree Harp the other day. It said, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the song that is traveling through. It travels through time. Singers will die, but the song lives on through matrilineal lines. This idea that singers will die, but the song lives on. So we are here, in my opinion, to serve the song of creator. and to be hollow bones for it to come into the world. And so when you see what you are, which is you are designed, like, yes, there's matter, but there's also light. The brain is full of light. The meridian system through the body is full of light. Einstein understood that at the speed of light, uh, things go 3 million meters per second, and everything changes at the speed of light. You have that in you. You have the speed of light in you right now. And so that is why I say we are designed to quote unquote channel. Um, it's kind of hard to say without sounding really corny or new agey, but spiritual gifts to the world. And your body is designed to be a bridge for beautiful things to walk over into this world. And so when you know what you are, because I lusted for fame all my life. I was like, oh, I just want people to know who I am. I want to do something great. I want to be great because I can. And it wasn't until I decided I didn't care anymore about being great. I was like, you know what, Creator? I no longer care about being great. I actually care more about people who need help. Would you use me for the people? They said, if you don't have fear, you're not doing it for fame, and you're not doing it for money, the ancestors can move through you. So I said, okay, Creator, I don't want to be famous anymore. I just want to help these darn Palestinian children get out of those darn prisons. If you can help me do that, I will be satisfied, even if nobody knows who I am. If we could get those kids out of the prison, I will be happy. And it's so ironic that the moment I stopped caring about fame, literally like around that time, is the moment that I became more well known. And that's because what was coming out of me was not about me. It was about the people. And the people could feel that. And the people could feel the ancestors when I was talking. And you can't fake that. And so you know you're on the right track when you're giving these gifts to the earth for the right reasons. And so I think that's what happens when we finally understand what we are, is we become a more fluent flute for creators' music to come out of. And it's fun because you feel happy with yourself, you're proud of yourself, you know you're serving something important, and you know that you're giving something good to the earth. That's what you're doing right now, my sister. You are giving yourself to this cause, and it's working through you. And you told me earlier, like, things are happening that you didn't expect, of course, because you're not planning it. you are offering your services to something bigger than you, and that's what's happening. And that's what I've been taught by my elders. So anyways, I think that's what happens when you understand what you are, is you become a more active and a more engaged and a more effective instrument for not necessarily any objectives, but just the beauty that naturally is everywhere if we let it be.
So for those of us who know that that we can be singers of this song of beauty, how can we help others to understand who they really are, people who don't know yet?
Right. Well, it's very hard because we've been trained to blame, and we've been trained to judge, and we've been trained to write people off. One of my songs I wrote says, how does it go? It says, I just want to thank you for everything you do. I just want to thank you, Creator, for everything you are. You taught me how to love myself when nobody else believed in me. No, they didn't see what you see. So this idea that the world didn't believe in me. They thought I was a druggie, and I was. They thought I literally had people say, oh, she's like a loose woman, you know. They literally thought I was, I don't know what, just because this stuff kept happening to me. They thought I was, I don't know. They thought I was not really what I really am. And so what happened then was nobody believed in me, but they didn't see what creator sees. So if you can give, if you can try and give that gift to people, like a lot of times women will come up to me and they'll say, oh yeah, this happened last night. How am I going to tell them that it's not their fault if I still think it's my fault? See? And so once you heal yourself, once you see yourself as a sacred child of creator, regardless of your past mistakes and blunders and all the horrible things you think you've done, or maybe you did do, I don't know. Once you see yourself as a creator's child, then you can start giving that gift to others and say, so now when I meet someone who's a drug addict with tattoos all over their body, I'm not like, ugh, what a fool, or like what a failure. I'm like, oh, I know exactly what happened there. And if I get an opportunity, I'm going to help them see it. I have a lot of male friends who are down in the dumps. And I say, did your mom get beat up when you were little? And they said, oh yeah, all the time. I said, that wasn't your fault. And they're just like, whoa. And they're like, how did you know? And it's just so easy to tell when someone when someone has forgotten who they are. So what I would say is, you can't do this for everyone, right? Because some people are not safe to be around. Like for instance, if someone had a thing for me that wasn't healthy, I'm not the one to help them. You leave that to someone else. Or people who have abused me in the past, I'm not going to go to their house and say, hey, I want to help you heal, because first of all, that puts me through a lot of duress, just being reminded of everything they did to me. And second of all, they're probably not there to be healed. So even if I tried, it wouldn't work, because that's not what they wanted. That's not their intention. But some people you can help, and some people it's appropriate for you to help. For instance, I have a friend who called me the other day. She said, Lyla, I drank last night. It was bad, and da 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 da. And I hate myself, and I feel horrible. And I say, sister, it's not your fault. Tell me more. Usually you get the real story if you say, tell me more. Like, what happened leading up to that? And you start seeing that maybe she had a fight, or maybe she was reminded of this or that, and just offering forgiveness at every opportunity. And instead of judging, just saying, like, for instance, for me, the ancestors, when they found me, when I was like barely alive, doing ecstasy and cocaine and all the other crazy stuff, they found me and they said, I would expect them to say, oh, you're a bad girl, you're doing drugs, you need to go to jail. But instead they said, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you when you were a kid. I'm so sorry you grew up around this to the point where it became normal. And once I received that kind of grace, that kind of forgiveness, that kind of love, and once I realized that I didn't really need to be forgiven, but I actually needed to forgive others, then you get to a place where it's like, how can I give that to other people? So when I see someone who's quote unquote even Trump, it's so obvious he exhibits lots of symptoms of a boy whose mom was beat up when he was a kid. It's very obvious because he's trying to compensate for his manhood, right? If he failed to protect his mom, then he's not a man. So he's trying to be like, oh, well, maybe if I get a big car or a jumbo jet, I'll be a man. Or maybe if I sleep with lots of women, I'll be a man. Or maybe if I have a few towers with my name on it and own all this real estate, I'll be a man. Maybe if I put down other cultures, I'll be on top and I'll be a man. He's scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for ways that he could be a man. It's really obvious. So instead of blaming Trump and judging Trump, I often call him my Uncle Trump. And I treat him as an uncle, and I say, man, I'm praying for you today, man. I don't know if it's going to work, but I know I'm going to keep praying for you. And I'm going to keep that candle lit in my heart for you, especially when the whole world has judged you. and he is gone. Like, he is long gone. Like, he has so many souls in him right now. He's probably not even there anymore, but he still deserves a prayer, and he still deserves restorative justice, like we all do, which is what I was served. So anyways, that's a very long-winded way of saying I think that's how we should help others see who they are. Is like, don't go for the bait of judging them, but take a deeper look. What happened? Why are they acting like that? Not that it's an excuse, but it's an explanation, and it is what will need to be healed in order for them to get back into their true self.
So it's really seeking understanding and with empathy and compassion for what somebody's been through that got them to where they are now. So
Yes, I think we are very empathetic as women. So you have to be careful there, because a lot of times we'll try and be sympathetic to someone who has not the best intentions for us. So those ones are best to help from afar. I used to do that a lot. I used to try and help men and women who wanted to, get at me. And so I would end up getting hurt. And so, but yes, I agree. From a safe distance, whatever that means for that person, offer them unconditional love the way Creator does.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's very important, that we have to honor ourselves in this process as well. So what is your vision for this future that we are creating together? This future of, I'm guessing, beauty, hopefully?
Yeah. My vision is, man, that's a really good question. You get so used to everything being horrible that you can hardly imagine what it would be like if it wasn't. My mom told me that one time. She said, if it wasn't for the struggle, who would you be? In other words, she was saying, don't fight what you're against so much that it becomes your identity. Create what you want, and make sure that if that struggle left, you would still have an identity. That was really interesting. So anyways, I think that the vision is, it has to do with ecology for me, because a lot of what I've been talking about is healing the social fabric of humanity and healing the inner fabric of yourself, so that you can be a more potent force within the social fabric. But I think once the social fabric is healed, that's when we can start being better stewards of the environmental fabric. And the vision, once you heal self, and then that bleeds into your family. Whoever in your family is willing to heal, oftentimes you can help them, but they have to be willing, right? That's the sucky part. Sometimes I wish everyone was just willing to be healed right now, because that would make things a lot easier. But a lot of people don't want to, because they have to lose certain things. Maybe they have to lose their drugs. Maybe they have to lose their habits. Maybe they have to lose their patterns. But once you heal the personal fabric, you can start healing parts of the family fabric. And then you have to heal the environmental fabric. So for me, that the vision is us being a lot more connected to the natural providence of Mother Earth, and being in a state where we can actually see that the forest is a farm. You don't have to cut the forest down to make a farm. The forest is already a farm if you know how to take care of it. And so I just had my first class for my PhD last night, and that's what we're talking about is food, agroforestry. How do we approach the forest in a new way? And so for me, that's the next step. Is okay, once we heal self, once we heal family, once we heal community, we are going to be much more poised to start healing fish, healing redwoods, healing mycelium, healing oceans, healing the snow caps, everything, because the society that views women as objects to be bought and sold, often views the earth as an object to be bought and sold. And the society that views a man's worth based on how many women he can be with oftentimes views the worth of a man based on how much land he can own. And so the social understanding is very much a reflection of the environmental understanding. Whereas a lot of times, if a society has a matrilineal tradition where the women are the leaders and the women give the clans, which is how the Dene are, they oftentimes view the earth as the leader, and they follow the earth, and you become humble before the earth, and you're willing to be a servant of the earth. And so that's a really happy outcome of when we start healing. And I've been told by the elders, if we can heal the women, we can heal the whole world. That doesn't mean we're not going to heal the men. We are going to heal the men, but we're healing the men through the healing of women. Because what are the men all bent up about? They're bent up about the fact that the women got hurt, right? So if we can heal the women, we can heal the men who love them. And if we can heal the children that they birth, then we can start to heal the way we view Mother Earth, and we can start becoming much better children of Mother Earth and view ourselves as children. Speaking of self-image, view ourselves as children of the earth, not as masters of the earth. When you make that switch, whew, everything changes. Everything. So how can we view ourselves as children of mothers instead of masters of the mothers, and give the mothers their voice back? The earth has a voice too. We just don't listen to it. Women have a voice, but do we listen to it? More and more we are. And so I think that's the vision I ultimately have and there's a lot of details in there of how to interact with Mother Earth on a more practical, pragmatic level. But that's what I'm saying at the beginning, is we need to heal ourselves. That will spill into the family, spill into the community, and then spill into Mother Earth. So they're connected. The healing of self and the healing of Earth are very connected.
That's such a beautiful vision. I feel so inspired to keep going and to serve in my own way. And I hope that everyone who's out there listening and watching is also feeling that, and to really take in the depth of wisdom that Lyla has shared here. And before we finish up, Lyla, I just wonder if there's anything that you'd like to highlight as far as what you're working on right now, what you might have coming up, how people can really know more about your work.
Yeah, I have a website. It's sodizin.net, SODIZIN.net. Sodizin means song. It also means prayer in my mother's language. I have a Facebook. It's Lyla June, LYLAJUNE. I have an Instagram, LYLAJUNE. And I don't know what those things are for. I'm still figuring that out. But I think it's to help people. So I usually post things that are about healing our inner fabric. Yeah, I have a lot of music videos on YouTube. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. But the three ones I'm really proud of are Time Traveler, which is like an EDM hip hop type of thing. All Nations Rise, which is like an indigenous rights anthem type of thing. And I also like Mamulad, Mamwlad, which means motherland in Welsh. And that's to honor the women who were burned as witches in Europe. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel. As for things, my friend and I are working on getting a tour schedule going. I am starting my PhD right now, so it's a little rough, but my tour schedule is, I'm going to be gone every weekend for the next 3 months in different cities and universities. And so if you check the Facebook page, it should be on there. What I do know is we're going to Phoenix the week after next. I'm going to Minnesota after that. I'm going to Oklahoma after that. and I forget what's going on after that. I'm going to be at Bioneers. I'm going to keynote at Bioneers in San Rafael. So there's lots of stuff going on, but that's the best way to follow me, I guess.
Great. And I will put the links down below that Lyla just mentioned for anybody who wants to get connected. And I definitely recommend listening to her music. It gives me chills. So it's really powerful. So Lyla, I just want to thank you again so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom and your spirit, and just this love that you bring, that you're learning about and that you're sharing about. It's really powerful, and it's so needed in our world right now.
Thank you, sister. Right back at you. I feel really fortunate that I had all this spiritual support when I hit rock bottom. And I just think it's so, I don't know what I would have done without it. And so when I see people like you who I feel like maybe you didn't have all of those elders come in, but you still have that love and you still have that fire and you're still going, I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. Because I know if I didn't have that, I would still probably be doing, God knows what. But I'm really inspired by you as well, and I admire you as well, and all that you do. And my love and prayers are with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I'm very blessed to be on this path. And I just want to say to all of you who are out there watching and listening, I want to thank you for being here as well. And thank you for being part of this. And I just want to send you all my love and wish you all the best on your journey of remembering who you are, because that's really important.